So it's been more than a month, if you can believe it, since Donald Trump announced his sweeping and pretty ridiculous tariffs. But Mr. Art of the Deal, as he calls himself, has not yet struck a single trade deal, not a single one, with any single country.
Your thoughts, or what was going through your mind as you heard all these officials around the president just lathering on the praise for him as the ultimate deal maker, including officials from the UK?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like this is a marginal deal and that it's not that big of a deal when we look at, I'm curious to see the details of how much there will be in change compared to what we previously had with the UK compared to what this.
Imagine getting up every morning, putting on your makeup, going get your hair done, going into the studio, sitting in front of the camera and lying. That's what these people get paid to do. And then it's not that big of a deal. It's only $6 billion. And it's only $10 billion in terms of the exports and stuff. It's not that big of a deal. Why is everybody gushing over this guy? Well, it's billions more than what your guy did. Much bigger. I'm going to show you in a second how much bigger
deal will shape up to look like, since it sounds like they're still ironing out the details. But it didn't surprise me to hear the cabinet officials and some of the UK officials kind of praising Trump and boosting his ego a bit and stroking his ego, because that's what they know they need to do. For the cabinet officials, it's what they do to keep their jobs and keep him happy. And then the UK officials also know that in order to negotiate the best deal for their country, that they need to stroke his ego. And so that's kind of a
they gotta stroke his ego, gotta make him feel good, because it's no big deal. If it's no big deal, why don't you put up on the screen what it actually is? Show your audience how small and insignificant it really is. It's out there. I'm going to show you guys what it is, and you can tell me if it's like insignificant and not that big of a deal. I mean, we can all look at it. We're all adults here. So here's the deal. You've seen this. $5 billion market access for exports, $6 billion external revenue that they're getting in a fee. Now, that's nothing. That's small potatoes. No, what's a big deal? Why is everybody all happy about it? It's only like 11, 12, 20 billion. Nothing to get. Don't get worked up about that. It means nothing. Tariffs were 5.1. Now they're only 1.8. On them, it was 3.4. It went up to 10. That's like 3 times, 3x, isn't it? Yeah. And it includes, ethanol, beef, cereal, fruits, vegetables, animal feed, tobacco, soft drinks, blah, 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 blah. It increases steel and aluminum and pharmaceuticals and, airplane parts, $10 billion for Boeing. It's no big deal, says the idiots. If they wanted to be truthful, why didn't they just do what I just did? I just showed you what it is. And let the person sitting at home eating nachos and bonbons, $6 billion. $6 billion sounds like a big deal to me. Sounds like a really big deal. And again, that word contrast. Well, if it wasn't a big deal, why didn't your guy do it?
Think what we saw take place there. I will point out too that this is the first deal that we've seen the Trump administration negotiate, but it's ironic because in Trump's recent Time magazine interview, he said that he had already negotiated 200 deals with 200 countries, and obviously we have yet to see the details of any of those trade deals.
Right.
And then most importantly,
let me ask you a question. I bet there's many people in the chat right now who have bought property. I always go back to that. Maybe that's why that person said I talk too much about success, but I don't know, I'm leaning on my experience. Well, you have a contract, you put an offer in on a property, or you're selling your property and you receive an offer on that property. And nobody usually takes the first offer, hopefully. I don't want anybody to take my first offer. Newsflash, if you accept my first offer, I screwed up. I went in too high. But we'll continue. Eventually, you're going to put in an offer. They're going to look at it. They're going to say no, or they're going to say yes. And you're going to negotiate different things. When do you move out? How's this going to do? I want that chandelier over there to stay, blah, 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 blah. but you agree on the number before you actually sign the document. And the rest of the stuff we got to work out. The attorney's going to talk. The title company's going to make some changes. And then, of course, the survey has to happen where they go out and measure everything to make sure that, what I'm buying is actually what I'm buying. And then the inspector's going to come out and he's going to crawl through the attic and the crawl spaces and make sure that, the thing's not falling down. All of those things are called what? Anybody ever do a business deal where there's these things that are all, contingent? These people are idiots. It's like, well, no, they're not idiots. They know full well. They know their audience are idiots. They know nobody walks up and goes, okay, signed it. Let's go. We're done. Exchange the money. Let's go. Okay, let's go to lunch. No, it doesn't work that way. That's why real estate closings can sometimes take 30 days. Doesn't mean I don't have a deal. I've got the deal to buy this property. And God forbid, that's just a house. I don't know how many of you have ever bought commercial property. So if you're going to buy like a strip mall, and a strip mall, there's a whole lot of due diligence. You get the deal, you agree on the surface, but then you start digging in. You check the rent roll. You check, make sure the leases are in place. All these different things. You check the environmental. You got to verify everything, and it may take you 60 days to close. But these people are like, hey man, he said he's got all these deals in place, but we don't see them. They're lying to the American public. And I hope I just explained to you how deals take place. And that's just on a house or a commercial property. Never mind if you're buying a mall. Never mind if you're buying acreage and you want to build, a plant. How long it takes to get all the different details in place, even though you've agreed in principle on the number. So take that on steroids and say, now we're going to do an international trade deal. Okay, here's what we're going to offer you. Oh, just to let you guys know, here's what we're going to offer you. What this doesn't say is, okay, how are we going to do it? Which of these companies are involved? You got ethanol, beef, cereals, fruits, vegetables, animal feed, tobacco, soft drinks, yada, yada, yada. That's a whole lot of stuff. We got to put all this into what will probably be a document. Well, it'll be electronic because only the idiots use paper, but it would be a document probably about that big, and then both will sit down and sign it. But they don't want their audience to know that. They're like, what are you talking about?
Waiting on what a deal with China will look like. And Trump says that he's talking with the Chinese, but I think that Americans are really upset with his handling of the economy right now. And as we get further into summer and empty shelves and skyrocketing prices continue, then
Wait. You see how they use language to obfuscate? When we get into this fall and summer, when shelves continue to be bare. Wait a second. You beat your wife often? No, I don't beat my wife. But you just said you beat your wife often, so how does it work out for you? No, the shelves will continue to be bare. Wait. I just went to the grocery store. Well, actually, I didn't go to the grocery store. I went to Instacart. Everything I wanted, boom, 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 it was right there. They lie so smoothly because they're taught to lie smoothly, and the average person sitting at home eating bonbons and Cheetos doesn't understand they're being lied to. I stop and let you hear what they say so you can be on to their tactics, because it's important that you are.
Americans are only going to continue to be upset with him and his handling of the economy, and you're going to see him continue to shift the blame to folks like Jerome Powell because he doesn't want to take on that responsibility, even though it's his incoherence and his policies that he's putting forward that are responsible for it.
These are the
Seriously, she just said that. And you see the people on the screen? All nodding along like they have a clue what none, no clue. But you know what? Like I've been saying, guess what? They get the benefit as well. They get to have lower gas, lower groceries. Even though they hate Trump and are lying to people, they get it too. Speaking of lying,
Put them on the screen. Items impacted by tariffs. Coffee, Brazil and Colombia. Chocolate, Ivory Coast, Ecuador. Olive oil, the EU. Rice, Thailand, India. Alcohol, EU, Mexico. Fruit, Guatemala, Costa Rica. Seafood, Vietnam, Indonesia. Nuts, Vietnam, Thailand. Cheese, clothing, shoes, China. Books, Canada. Clothing, China. Toys, China. Cars, China. Japan. Household appliances, China. Cookware, China. Power tools, China. Furniture, guess it?
China.
Okay, so she's rattling those off, and she's telling you, we're dependent on China. She may not have realized that she was, doing her street language and inadvertently telling you, we are dependent upon a foreign country. If a foreign country doesn't provide all those things, we're running around toothless, clothless, naked, can't do anything. What she failed to point out here was, are there no American coffee companies? Oh, I think there are. I beg to differ. I've got one that I work with, 1775 Coffee, so I know you're full of it. Chocolate? No American chocolate companies? Yeah, there are. Olive oil. Well, olive oil, if it's pure, may come from Italy or Greece or something. And I'm pretty sure that there's a deal in place with Italy coming up, right? Yeah. Rice. Rice. They're worried about rice. Let me ask you a question. Or not ask you a question. Make a statement. There are a few items on this list that even if the price rose 20%, I don't care. What are you going to charge me more for rice? $1.50 for a pound might go to $1.60. Seriously? You scared of that? If you even eat rice. Alcohol. I don't care. I don't care, because most of these things on this list, which I want to point out that they're showing to their audience, most of the things on this list are wants versus needs. I don't need alcohol. You can just scratch that right off. I don't need nuts. I don't need cheese. But if I did need cheese, I know there's people here that make cheese. I know that tomorrow, Saturday, and Robin and I are going to be going to the Delray Market, which is awesome. And when I go there at the Delray Market, there's this guy who has a cheese booth. And they make their cheese, mozzarella. They make it right in their place. They have big giant blocks. They make their own cheese. He's right here. He's in Delray, Florida. And you walk past his booth and you're like, yeah, give me some of that there, and then give me some fresh mozzarella. And I don't need to order that. See, that crap you get in the store that's in some sort of plastic container, I don't need that. And I don't want that. How many of you guys have actually shopped at a farmer's market where you can see the people who actually make the stuff? This guy makes the cheese. And then when you're at the booth, there's a guy back there churning stuff. And I'm like, what's he doing? He's making some fresh mozzarella. Oh, okay. So you come back in about an hour. The mozzarella will be ready. Oh, okay. I'm good. Let's see here. Clothing. If you're like me, you probably have a closet full of clothes if you're guys. If you're like Robin, you probably have 4 or 5 different closets full of clothes. If she sees something she wants, she can go get, buy what she wants. Or, hey, some guys actually have things made for them. Now, I understand there are people who can't afford to have things made for them, but I'm pretty sure if you stop buying clothes from China tomorrow, you're not going to be naked tomorrow. You're gonna be okay, right? Yeah. Shoes. Let me ask you, how many times a year do you buy shoes? Oh, wait a minute. I shouldn't say that because you're probably a lady. I can tell you Robin probably buys 3 or 4 pairs of shoes per month. but they happen to be flip-flops because we live in Florida. In fact, I was asking her the other night, hey, honey, what's next time you gonna put on those, those nice pumps that you have? She looked at me like I was crazy. It's getting to be summer down here in Florida. Yeah. You go into the nicest of restaurants. I'm talking the most upscale of restaurants. People are in there in shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops. So how many of y'all worried about buying new shoes? Unless you're, a sneaker nut. Books. I don't even know why you put that on your screen, because there ain't nobody in the MSNBC audience buying any books. No one. You serious? You want a book? They make this thing called a phone where you can download something from Amazon and you can read to your heart's content. If you got a tablet or whatever, yeah, you can do that. Toys, knuckleheads, get them outside the house. Go play. Need versus want. Cars, yeah, we all could buy cars. That might be more expensive unless you're buying a Ford or a Chevy. Appliances. There's a store here that sells only American appliances. But then again, how often do you shop for a new stove or refrigerator? Is this a once a year, once 3 years, once every 4 years? Are you renting where you don't even have to pay for it? People watching her show probably rent. They ain't buying no damn appliances. Cookware. Interesting. I've never met a woman in my life, parents, grandparent, grandma, who didn't have a stock full of pots hanging all over the doggone place. Power tools, same thing. I'd walk, see me, I am the most anti-power tool using guy. I mean, I call her Robin Vila because I can't put anything together. Sorry, it's a man card deficient. I can't put stuff together. I can do anything you want with hardware and computer stuff, but I can't. How do you? Not me. But I can tell you, she's got a bunch of tools, and it's not like she's buying drills every other month. Furniture. Well, let's see. How often do you buy furniture? How often do you buy a mattress? Reason why I say how often is because if the purchase is once per year, I doubt you're buying a mattress every couple months. I doubt you're buying any furniture every couple months. If you're going to buy those type of big ticket items, there's this thing you do when you're planning to make a big purchase, and it's called a budget. So no, a tariff would not bother me if I had to buy furniture, because one, I would probably see if I can get it from someplace like North Carolina first. Mattress, lots and lots of American mattress companies. And this last one, which everybody's bitching about, strollers. Let's talk about this. I had one child. She's no longer a child, but then she had three children. My sisters had three, and 4. And so, there was some investment in strollers. And then as you use the stroller, you have to replace the stroller. But let's say you're, first-time mother and you're going to have a baby. Are you saying that between now and what would probably be, 9 months from now, you couldn't put together an extra, what's 20% on a couple $100? An extra $40 to save America? People have to understand. They're trying to scare you. They're trying to make you think, oh, things are horrible. You're not going to be able to live your life. When if you sit back and just like I did and spent those last couple of minutes and looked at things item by item, you'll realize at this point, no, I don't need that. In fact, my sister had a baby and, hey, sis, can I get your stroller? I'm due sometime in January. And if I can't make enough money by January to find a stroller, can I get yours? Well, the first thing your sister's probably going to say is you can't make enough money in 9 months to get a stroller. We have another discussion we have to have. Your deadbeat dad here. You're telling me You guys can't put together what was 100. Whoa, it used to be 140. Oh, it was 240. Oh, this one here, it's got the different Grand Prix wheels and it spins around in a hood. It's $350 for this one. I want this one. Maybe you can't afford that one. Maybe you need to look at the budget model. Maybe you need to look at the one without the, the Kung Fu grip and just buy the $150 model. The baby don't care. See, that's a lot of this stuff that's being sold to people is they're thinking the baby's going to do without. The baby's going to sit and poop. The baby, you put some shade over its head and you can wheel whatever you want. It's for your comfort. Trust me, I've seen them. They're sleeping. They're pooping. And you put the little shade over them, they're going to be fine. It's you that want the $400 stroller. Well, I got to have my jogging stroller. Well, if you can do that, then jogging and save up. But in any event, what I'm saying is people aren't being smart and they're being pulled around by their nose by these people in the media.
Come on now. Mattresses, come on.
Ooh, China.
And what about the strollers?
You mean the thing you carry the babies in?
Yeah, I know the president didn't understand what it was. It is what? Say it with a C. China.
But maybe you only need one stroller for your whole family instead of needing one for every baby.
Not when they have us having 6 babies.
Right. And you put one baby doll in it.
I mean, that's not...
Wait. I'm sorry. Democrats are worried about babies now, huh? 7 and 6 of them. She said. I would have said 6 and 7. She said 7 and 6. But now they're letting you know they care about babies. Whew. Thank you. It took Trump's tariffs to get you to care about babies. And telling people to have bigger families. Think about that. They are now advocating for people to have big families. Lying their asses off.
policy that's going to work. You had me afraid at chocolate, coffee, and shoes. Like these are, you're asking Americans now. I thought this was supposed to be the great prosperity era.
The golden age.
The golden age. Now you're asking America to buckle down and get ready for the age of austerity. How is that America winning?
Tell us.
How is it winning? These people, I don't know what they make. Certain ones, I doubt they're in the 7-figure category on that show, but they make a good living. No one's telling you can't go out and buy more shoes with what's the one with the red sole? Jimmy Choo? You want to go ahead and go do it. No one's stopping you, girl. You go ahead and blow your money on that. You know what? I'm going to blow my money on stuff that makes sense. See, I'm going to talk to the black culture right now. The black culture that decides that what is outward appealing is most important. You got to have the big benzo. You got to have the big house. You got to have the flashy clothes. Nah, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at gold and silver. I'm looking at real estate. See, I don't want people to see the flashy stuff. I want to have that investment property and that investment property, and I want to have that in a vault somewhere. You go ahead and flash around in the streets. Don't matter to us. You know what's winning to me? Winning to me is when I can tell the woman sitting out there and my daughter and my grandchildren, what do you need? That's winning to me. Not for me. See, that was one of the problems that they were talking about. They were talking about themselves. They don't understand what prosperity really means, what success really means. They don't teach prosperity and wealth. Nobody really teaches that anywhere. And if you listen to these nuts on television, they're going to put you in debt. They're going to put you in a situation where you don't, and you're not going to attain prosperity and success. And so this limited success right now that they're calling these trade deal with the UK, they don't understand what that means for America. See, that's the problem. The entire thing I just played for you, and if you could have just, and I don't know if you listened, maybe I interrupted too much. But did you hear anybody talk about what it means for America? Hey, you're not going to be able to buy this. You're not going to be able to buy that. What kind of sacrifice are you willing to do to help your family? And pretty much if you have a family, you're going to say anything. There's nothing I won't do for that woman, Robin. There's nothing I won't do for Ashley and the grandkids. Nothing. Anything I can do to make life better is what I'll do. Again, I'm going to go back to the quote from John F. Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And you're hearing on these liberal networks day after day all about me. It's me. I can't. Well, what about 200, 300 million people who would like a more stable, wealthy, safe country? That's what we're all supposed to be working together for. Not clicks, not stupid statements, working together to build America. And I challenge you to go find them say the word success on these liberal stations, to talk about prosperity on these stations. To them, it's something to look down upon because they don't understand, or maybe they do, what a prosperous America means, because it destroys their entire ideological process.
How this deal got done? Was it over a few pints?
So the prime minister came in at the end of February to remember that meeting he had with Donald Trump, and he pulled me aside and he said, "So what are we going to do?" And I said, "Look, you've got to pick a businessman. You've got a businessman behind the Oval Office, behind the desk. Pick a businessman and let's get a deal done." And so he went out of the ordinary, he picked a businessman, and we got right to it. You have to remember, this is not just a headline deal. This is thousands and thousands of products that are going to unleash $5 billion of our ability, our farmers, our business people. We can now sell to the UK that we've never been able to do before. And
we've never been able to do before. So I'd like to know, especially as you're seeing this stuff about RFK Jr. and Nicole, and they're fighting about Casey Means, and people are saying she's not her license expired or whatever. Let me ask you, if you were going to go in the hospital and you had to have knee surgery or heart surgery or eye surgery, and the person that was going to operate on you wasn't a physician, but rather a politician, would you go through with that surgery? I don't think I have to wait for an answer. I don't think I have to look in the chat. You'd be like, hell no. I want a doctor who's done surgeries. I want a doctor who's done eye stuff. So let me ask you a question, MSNBC and CNN. Would you want a president who's never done a business deal? And that should be quite obvious at this point. Wait a second. I have never done a deal. Nobody I know in this administration has ever done a deal. Nobody I know in the media has ever done a deal. But we're going to say that Donald Trump isn't capable of making deals. Yet, his entire life, that's all he's done. Yes, some good, some bad, but you have more good than bad, and you're up. Howard Lutnick, he's done a lot of deals. Scott Bassett, he's done a lot of deals. Joe Biden ain't done shit. Kamala Harris ain't done shit. How do you compare that? How do you look at that in reality and go, I'd like to elect someone who has never done anything? They've spent the last 50 years of their life walking around Capitol Hill, just walking around. Meanwhile, here's a guy who's worth $1 billion. Here's another guy who's worth $1 billion. Oh, so they're coming in with credibility. Hey, so what have you done? Well, I have a company that's done $10 billion a year. I've got 1,200 employees in 14 different locations. Oh, so you know business. Yeah. Well, then you get to people like, well, government's not business. I love those comments. I love those comments when people say the government isn't a business. Again, a Godfather reference. Who's being naive now, Kate? You remember that line in the movie when Michael's telling her, I'm going to go legit, and she's like, politicians don't kill people. And he's like, who's being naive now?
Father's no different than any other powerful man. Any man who's responsible for other people. Like a senator or a president.
You know how naive you sound.
Why?
Senators and presidents don't have men killed.
Who's being naive, Kay?
If you don't think government is big business, you're being really naive.
Favorite part was I bring Donald Trump the deal and I say, look, here's the deal. And he says, come on, how can I make it better? So I go through all the details and he picks up the phone and he calls the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and he makes the deal $1 billion better yesterday. I mean, what's more fun than working for Donald Trump?
How did he squeeze an extra $5 billion out of her, an extra bill out of that?
Well, what happened is he said, look, these are all the products that we're doing, but we'd really like to add a couple of more products, but we just can't get it done. And he said, look, I'm the closer, I'll do it. And I said, look, we always want the best deal maker to make the deal. He literally picks up the phone and makes the call and he says to me, Howard, every time you want to close, I'm doing it. This is my favorite thing to do. I'm closing. There is no better businessman behind that desk than Donald Trump.
You know what's funny? When Jen Psaki said, oh, he's supposed to be this big deal maker and everything else, you can tell this man, well, he wrote the book, Art of the Deal. He loves it. It's in his vein. He pumps it into himself at night or something. He ties off and give me some adrenaline. I want some deal adrenaline. I don't think people realize the euphoric high that you get. You've never taken a drug or anything, but it just feels good to know I just won. I just did something. I made a deal that's in my favor. I made that other person accept my terms. Now, as I've told some other people, you have to always be able to walk away, which is why the stuff with Ukraine took so long. He wasn't willing to accept the terms that Zelensky was trying to throw at him. He said something, Zelensky countered, and when Zelensky countered, he's like, nah, I ain't doing that. Having sat across from the table many, many times, and having sat across the table and watched two sluggers come out with a deal, it's amazing how it works. And so here's a guy, Howard Lutnick, who's a billionaire 2 or 3 times over in his own right, and the boss says to him, I got this. Move over. I'm coming into the table. I'm bringing in the big chip stack. And Howard's like, it's all you, boss. You have to understand how big of a strongman move that was. I was going to say something kind of dirty, but you guys know what I mean. Boom. I got this. Watch what I do. And that's what he did. He cuts deals. He lives for that. Don't let anyone ever take advantage of you. And you can learn that just by seeing how things are going. I never want anyone who's never done anything to tell me how it should be. That would be a credo that I would ask you to always think to yourself, is if someone's telling you something can't be done, see if they've done anything.